My mother-in-law showed up with suitcases. So I changed the locks. I knew something was wrong when my husband didn't answer his phone. He never ignores my calls, even in meetings. He texts, "By that afternoon?" Nothing. No reply. No busy. Just silence. I found out why when I pulled into our driveway. There was a car parked behind mine. Not just any car, her car. And two large suitcases sitting on our porch. My mother-in-law doesn't visit, she arrives. I stepped out slowly. The front door was unlocked. Inside, I heard her voice. "Welcome." "Oh, good, you're home," she called out, like she lived there. I walked into my own kitchen, and she was standing by the counter unpacking groceries from her store. My husband was next to her, looking small. "Why are there suitcases on the porch?" I asked. She didn't even look at me. "I'll be staying for a while." "Not visiting, staying." I looked at him. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "It's just temporary," he said. Temporary. That word people use when they've already decided something without you. I asked how long. She said, "Until I get back on my feet." No explanation, no timeline, no discussion, just a decision in my house. The first night, she reorganized my kitchen. She said she was helping. The second night, she commented on how I cook. Too much salt, too much oil, too much everything. The third morning, I woke up to find her in my laundry room, folding my clothes, refolding them. She told my husband she works too much. "I'll take over." Take over? Within the first few days, she had rearranged our living room, changed the thermostat, moved our bedroom lamp because it looked tacky. And my husband kept saying the same thing. "She doesn't mean it like that." That sentence is how people excuse slow invasions. On the third night, she knocked on our bedroom door at 10:47 p.m. to ask if we could keep the noise down in my house. I lay there in the dark and realized something. This wasn't about her needing help. This was about her needing control, and him letting her have it. The next morning, I asked him when she was leaving. He sighed. "She doesn't have anywhere else right now." That wasn't my question. I asked again. "When is she leaving?" Silence. He said, "Why are you being like this?" Like what? Like someone who didn't agree to a third roommate? That night, we didn't turn the lights off right away. We lay there in the dark but not sleeping, just staring at opposite walls. I said quietly, "Do you see what's happening?" He exhaled. "It's just my mom." Just that word again. I turned toward him. "I feel like I don't live here anymore." He didn't answer immediately. Then he said, "You're making this bigger than it is." Bigger. Like my discomfort needed to shrink to be reasonable. I sat up. I didn't agree to this. "It's temporary." There it was again. Temporary. Temporary doesn't mean without discussion. He rubbed his face. "She doesn't have anyone else." "And what about me?" Silence. That kind of silence that says, "I don't want to choose." "I need you to tell me something," I said. "What?" "If she asked you to choose between us, what happens?" He laughed. "Why would she do that?" "Because she already has." He didn't say it, but I could feel it. Every time he said, "She doesn't mean it like that." Every time he said, "You're overreacting." Every time he chose calm over clarity. "I feel outnumbered in my own marriage," I said. That made him look at me. Finally. "That's dramatic." No, it was honest. "I married you," I said. "I didn't sign up to compete with your mother." "You're not competing." "Then why does it feel like I'm losing?" He rolled onto his side. This is just a rough patch. Rough patch. As if my boundaries were weather. As if they'd pass. I lay back down. And I realized something I didn't want to admit. He wasn't protecting her. He was protecting himself. From discomfort, from conflict, from having to tell his mother no. And that's when I understood. If I kept waiting for him to fix this, then I'd be waiting forever. We turned off the lights, but I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and listened to the house. My house. And for the first time since she arrived, it didn't feel like ours. It felt like I was renting space in someone else's arrangement. That was the night the decision stopped being emotional and became practical. That afternoon, I did something simple. I asked her directly, "How long do you plan to stay?" She smiled. "As long as I need to." And then she added, "You should be grateful I'm here. I raised him. I know what he needs." That was the moment. Not the groceries, not the lamp, not the laundry. That sentence. I know what he needs. She didn't mean help. She meant authority. So I stopped arguing. I stopped explaining. I stopped asking. Instead, I waited. But then nearly a week had passed. 2 days later, she left to run errands. I asked my husband one last time, "Are you choosing this situation or me?" He said, "You're overreacting." That word again. Overreacting. When you say that to someone instead of answering their question, you've already chosen. So I made my choice too. By the end of that week, it didn't feel loud. It felt gradual, like watching someone slowly redraw the outline of your life. She started leaving little notes on the fridge. "Don't forget he likes his eggs softer." As if I didn't know. As if I hadn't been cooking for him for years. One afternoon, I walked into the living room and saw her sitting in my spot on the couch. Not just sitting, reclining. Comfortable. Like she'd settled into something permanent. She looked at me and said, "Oh, I didn't think you used this side." Used this side of my own couch. That night I asked my husband if he noticed anything different. He said, "You're reading into things." Reading into things. That's how small shifts get dismissed. That's how boundaries disappear without anyone admitting they moved. She started answering the door when packages arrived, signing her name. Her name on deliveries addressed to us. She rearranged the pantry and told me, "This makes more sense." More sense. To who? I began, hesitating before speaking in my own kitchen, before reaching for a cabinet, before turning up the TV. That's the part no one talks about. Not the yelling, not the confrontation, the hesitation, the subtle pause before you exist in your own space. One evening I overheard her on the phone. "Yes, I'm staying with them," she said. "They need the structure." The structure. Like we were children. Like I was. That's when I understood something I didn't want to admit. This wasn't temporary to her. This was correction. She wasn't staying because she needed help. She was staying because she believed we did. And the most painful part, he didn't see it. Or maybe he did. But seeing it would have required choosing. And choosing meant conflict. So he chose comfort. And comfort meant her. I stopped arguing after that. Not because I agreed, but because I was done explaining why I deserved space in my own home. And that's when the decision started forming. Not out of anger, out of clarity. While she was gone, I called a locksmith. It took 40 minutes. I changed the locks. All of them. Front door, back door, garage. I handed my husband a new key. Just one. I told him calmly, I married you, not your mother. He stared at me like I detonated something. Maybe I had. When she came back, her key didn't work. She knocked, then she pounded, then she called him. He stepped outside. They argued in the driveway. Neighbors watched. She cried, she yelled, she said I was controlling. Because I didn't want someone living in my house without my consent. He came back inside alone. She left, with her suitcases. He didn't speak to me for the rest of the night. But the house was quiet. For the first time in a week, it felt like mine again. 2 days later, Shahar said she questioned if we could talk. He said he didn't realize how far it had gone. He said he thought it was temporary. He said that he didn't want to hurt me. And I told him something simple. When you let someone move into our marriage without asking me, you already did. He didn't argue. He didn't defend her. For the first time since she arrived, he looked unsure. Not of me, of himself. That night we sat in silence at the kitchen table. The same table where she unpacked groceries like she owned the place. The same table where I realized I was slowly disappearing in my own home. He finally said I didn't think it was that serious. And I answered quietly, it wasn't serious to you, because it wasn't happening to you. There's something people don't understand about boundaries. They think they're dramatic, harsh, unnecessary, until they're the ones being erased. Your marriage doesn't collapse all at once. It shifts. One unlocked door at a time. One excuse at a time. One, she doesn't mean it like that at a time. And if you don't close it, someone else will walk in and decide who belongs there. No, she hasn't asked to move back in. He hasn't offered. And we are still here. But something changed. Not the locks, not the house, him, because now he knows. If someone tries to move into this marriage again, they won't be arguing with me. They'll be arguing with both of us. Sometimes love isn't about being patient. Sometimes it's about being clear. Behind closed doors, silence can look like agreement. It isn't. And peace without boundaries is just surrender. She hasn't come back, not to stay. And he doesn't use the word overreacting anymore. Sometimes people don't test your kindness. They test your boundaries. And sometimes the only way to save your marriage is to change the locks. Behind closed doors, silence can look like agreement. It isn't. If you've ever had someone cross a boundary and call it help, you already know. Some doors close quietly, some never really do. If this story felt close to home, there's another one waiting for you here. This is Behind Closed Doors. Stay.